Okay, so section 1.4 is where we're going to be measuring angles. And the first thing is knowing the definition of an angle. So an angle is formed by two rays with the same endpoint. The rays are the sides of the angle and the endpoint is the vertex. So over here, A is your vertex here. Your rays are the AB and the AC, those are your sides. Now how to name it, you can name it several ways. You can name it by just the vertex, which would be angle A. You could name it using a point on each ray and then the vertex, so angle BAC or angle CAB. Notice that the vertex is always in the middle, so that is crucial that you have it in that certain order. Or if there's a number in the middle, you could name it with just that number. So you could say just angle 1. So a couple different ways depending on what they have labeled. So the first thing we're going to do is just practice that. First question says, what are two other names for angle 1? Well, it already used the number, so now I could use 3 different letters. There's a reason why I am skipping just the vertex. The reason I can't just call it angle 1 or angle M is because that there is 2 different angles, 3 if you will, of 3 different angles that share that vertex. So I can't just name it angle M because of the fact that this shares the same vertex over here. So I could name it as angle JMK, and I can also go in the reverse of angle KMJ. So just be aware of what they have there because you don't want to get confused. So since M is the vertex for both angles, angle 1 and angle 2, I would not be able to use that because I wouldn't know which one I would be referring to. Alright, you're going to pause the video and try the got it question. In the got it question it says, what are 2 other names for angle KML? And so you could use, KML is here, you could use the number angle 2. Remember we can't use angle M, so we're not going to use that one. And then also you could use angle LMK, so in the reverse. So either the number or using those letters. Okay, how do we find the angle measurement? Well, you would use a protractor and then you could just subtract your 2 degrees that you get. So for example, if this one is at 45 and this one it looks like it's at about 152 or 148 it looks like, I would just subtract those 2 numbers. So we're going to practice that on the next one here. Before we do that, we're going to also talk about what kinds of angles we have. So remember, acute angle is where it's between 0 and 90. If it's exactly 90, it's called a right angle. If it's between 90 and 180, it's called an obtuse angle. And if it's a straight angle or a straight line, it is equal to 180. So, measuring and classifying, we're going to find what these angle measurements are. And I tried to darken it a little bit because I know it's kind of blurry in there for you to see it. So just if you need to take a moment and try and darken yours, just make sure that you have it there. Let me refocus, okay? So it says, what are the measurements of angle LKN? So angle LKN would be here. I need to find the measure and then I need to also classify it. So I would look to see what my angle measurement at. It starts at 0 and then goes all the way around to, looks like 145. So I would say that that angle is 145 degrees, and since it's between 90 and 180, it would be called obtuse. Then I would do the same thing for the next angle. The next angle is JKL, so that would be this angle here. I would find the measurement by subtracting those numbers, so I have 90 going down to 45, so it would be equal to 55 degrees. Am I at the wrong spot? 35. 90 and 35. That is very blurry. Sorry about that. So I subtract those and I get 55 degrees, and then since it's between 0 and 90, it is acute. Then I have one more angle where it's angle JKN, which is here. and that goes from 0 to 90, so I know that would be equal to 90 degrees, and that would be classified as a right angle. Okay, I want you to pause the video and try the GATA question. Do your very best, because like I said, I know that that's blurry, so do your best in trying to find those numbers there. Okay, so the first one, LKH. LKH would be over here going from 0 to 35, so I said it's 35 degrees, and then I also said that it would classify as an acute angle. The angle HKN goes from here all the way across, so from 0 to 180, so that's 180 degrees, which is a straight angle. And then MKH goes from 0 to 145, so I said it's 145 degrees, and that would be classified as obtuse. Okay, after knowing how to measure those and classify, we talk about congruent angles. So remember, congruent means they are equal or the same. So here's your first question. Synchronized swimmers form angles with their bodies as shown in the photo. If angle GHJ is equal to 90 degrees, what is the measure of KLM? It's really kind of hard to see, but you should have congruency marks there and there. So to show that angles are congruent, we draw in those little arcs. And so what it's asking is, if KLM, sorry, these should be marked as well. KLM is this angle here. And then they told us that GHJ, which is this one, it said that's 90 degrees. So if these are congruent, based off the tick marks that they have there, then I know that that one also has to be 90 degrees. So a couple things going from this problem. One, make sure you know what the arcs mean, so it means that they are congruent. And then two, make sure you also know what congruent means. It means they are equal. Alright, one more thing here. Just like we had the segment addition postulate, you have the angle addition postulate. So that means if you have two small angles that form a big angle, then you can add them together and get that big angle. Such as angle AOB can be added to BOC to get this big angle AOC. So here's where your solving equations will come into play. So the first one, angle RQT is equal to 155, and we have to find the measures of RQS and also TQS. So if you can't see on your paper, you might make sure you have those expressions wrote down. So what I would do is, if this big angle is equal to 155 degrees, I would add the two smalls to equal my total. So I would do just that. Angle RQS is here, and then I would add to it the other angle SQT, and then that would be equal to my big angle RQT. So then I just plugged in their appropriate spots. So RQS is the 4x minus 20, the SQT is the 3x plus 14, and then the RQT was equal to 155. Now you're just solving the equation. So I combined my like terms, so the x's became 7x, my numbers on this side became -6, and then I added 6 to both sides and then divided by 7. So remember those questions where you have to pay attention, is it solving for x or solving for the angle? This one wants me to solve for the angle, so I would have to plug x in here to find the measure of RQS. So I took 23 times 4, and then I subtracted 20, and I got 72. And then I would do the same thing for the SQT. I would plug in 23 for the x and do 23 times 3, add on 14 and get 83. Now remember, these two should be adding to 155. So always double check and make sure it's equaling your total that you should. Alright, you're going to pause the video and try the next question. So in the next question it says that it's a straight angle. So that means that my two smalls have to be equal to 180 because that's what a straight angle means. So this part right here gave me the hint of what my total would be equal to. So then I would just set up my equation. I would do the angle DEF and add to it the angle CEF. Whoops, not DEF, DEC. and then that would be equal to my straight angle, which is DEF. So then I just substituted in. DEC was the 11x minus 12. CEF was the 2x plus 10. And then the DEF was 180. So then I combined my x's, combined my whole numbers, and then I added 2 to the other side and then divided by 13. Once again, it does not ask for x, so I had to plug x back in to find what those angle measurements are. So I put 14 into this expression. 14 times 11 minus 12 is 142, and then 14 times 2 plus 10 is 38. Ask yourself this question: what should these two angles be adding up to? Those should be adding up to 180 because the two smalls should equal the one big. Okay, so that takes care of measuring angles. So there was a lot of definitions in there that you want to make sure you know how to do, but at the same point, you also want to make sure you can find what those angle measurements are.